Hello everyone, Tina Gal back with another sketch from Nuts About Sketches. And today I'm working with some really old photos. They're actually kind of yellowed and not very bright and colorful, but I decided I wanted to get them documented, so I'm taking the chance to use this sketch to get them put into my albums. And it's going to be a really quick layout because I'm letting this patterned paper from Amy Tan's Stitched collection pretty much do most of the work. It already has these great little circles printed on both sides of the corners. So I'm using that as part of the design elements that were on the sketch instead of creating more. I'm also using this 3x4 card that was in my stash in place of one of the photos. And so really it all went together really quick, other than I decided to do some hand stitching on it. So that took longer than anything. I ended up cutting this circle out to go behind it, and then I decided that it was really just too plain, and so I wanted to get some other colors going in and some more patterned paper. And so I decided to just tuck in a lot of the little branding strips that I had left over from the papers and tuck them in to make it look like there were lots and lots of layers underneath these photos. And so this first one I just cut, and it was one of the branding strips from off of the paper that I'm using. I just kind of tucked those in. And then I had this really narrow strip of yellow that was left from one of my previous layouts. And so I decided to use it, and then that way I had some different widths of paper going on, so I tucked it in. And then I tried using this paper because I really wanted to pull in just a little bit more color, but I couldn't get it to work. And then this 3x4 card, I had trimmed it down so that it would be the size of my photos, and it had all of the different colors on it, so I thought that would be perfect. So I ended up taking it, and I will cut it in half so that I can have enough to peek out above and below the photos. And so I just kind of tuck those up in there. So that's one suggestion if you're either working with a layout that you don't have a lot of pattern paper, or it's not looking like there's enough going on. You can pull from your scraps, or even if you have a lot of paper, then you can just cut up more paper. But I like using these techniques when I want to use up some of my scraps. So just kind of tucking them in behind your big pieces of paper, little bits and pieces. Here's the little ones that they're just slivers that I cut off from the 3x4 card when I trimmed it down. But it was just enough of that pop of color to add into the sides behind those photos to give the layout a lot more interest. And so after I get this done, I'm kind of looking at it, trying to decide what I'm going to do with the embellishments. And I had some different embellishments. This little circle that says funny moment, that is from the Cloud9 Chic tags. And so I thought that was really perfect for this layout. These photos are of my son. We were in the middle of wallpapering, and we had a lot of the furniture moved to the center of the room, and we got to missing him, and we went looking for him, and he had found a bag of donuts, and he was standing over there just fistful of donuts eating. So it was a very funny moment. So I ended up using the word stickers and that little deal to help with the title of this layout. Now I'm ready to do some of the stitching that I wanted to do, and this is the stitching guide that I've used before, and I had a lot of questions after I used this in the last video, and I hope I've gotten back to everybody. But this stitching guide is from close to my heart. We actually have a ruler that has just a straight stitching, and then this one that's all stitching. So it does straight stitch, zigzag, a scalloped, and then it does shapes like hearts and hexagons and stars and circles and I don't know what else. So I did some guides for a large zigzag at the top and the bottom of that large piece of paper. And then I wanted to do some more circles since there was a lot of circles on this sketch, and I decided to go around some of the already printed ones. So I just went ahead and poked my holes for those. And the way this stitching guide works is on these shapes, you punch it and then you flip it over and you match up those last two holes, and you can finish the other side and everything's symmetrical. And so I am going to stitch around a couple of the circles at the top of the layout, and then I do a couple at the bottom of the layout as well. And I was wanting to kind of do it on this embellishment, and I kept kind of going back and forth, and I ended up not doing it. I kind of wanted to do it all the way around where the stitching would be on the layout itself, and then that little embellishment would be popped up above. But I was afraid that it just really wasn't going to look good once that I did it. It was either going to be hidden, and then you're going to be wondering what's going on, what is that little bit of color, because I end up using a gold colored embroidery floss to do all of the stitching to pull out the little touches of yellow in this layout. So anyways, when I got down to it, I decided not. I did the large circle up here that had a word stamped in it, and then one of the smaller ones. And then all the other circles I will do with embellishments. So now that I have all of my holes kind of punched, it's really easy to get my needle and thread and then just get started. So the zigzag stitch is just self-explanatory. You just stitch back and forth diagonally. On the circles, I did a back stitch, and so if you don't know how to do back stitches or any of the other stitches, you can refer back to another video, and I'll try to put the links in the comments below or in the information below the video and on my blog. But I kind of show how to do it in another video. I'm sure you could also Google it and find a jillion tutorials on how to do sewing. I'm not a seamstress at all. This is about as good as it gets, but it really does add a lot to the layouts. So like I said, I just did a little bit, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the top and maybe 1 inch at the bottom. And when I get done, I always just kind of weave my end of my thread through my stitches, and then I use washi tape over the top of it just to secure it in. And so here, I apologize, my camera went off and so I missed it. So I was showing you real quick. I had added some brads, and they are from the My Mind's Eye cut and paste. So I had added a few of those, and then that paper clip is from Freckled Fawn. So all of that really helped kind of pull that layout together. And then I had a couple of word stickers that are from Heidi Swap sticker sheet. And I end up, that one at the top that says behind the scenes, I moved it kind of all over the place. I wasn't really happy, and I'm still not happy with it right there. So you'll notice in the still shots after I get done, I end up taking it off and I cut it apart and tie it more into that circle embellishment that says funny moment. So then the whole kind of title reads funny moment behind the scenes, because he had went and hid behind the TV stand that was in the center of the room, because he knew eating donuts was not right, even though he's only about 11 months old there. So that's pretty much the whole layout. These little enamel hearts are from Chicken Knitting, and they're real pastel, so they're hard to show up in the video, but they will show up in the still shots. And so here are some close-ups of the layout. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for joining me again. And be sure to visit me on my blog and on Facebook, and Pinterest, and Instagram, and we will catch you next time. Bye.